Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to episode 37 of Wings, Beers, and Tears, your favorite DMV sports podcast. We are fresh off of Super Bowl 54, so we've got that recap as well as some Skins and Ravens talk, some Caps, some Terps, all that good shit, all rolled up into one fun hour. How are you this evening, gentlemen? Let's start off with Mr. Jeremy. How are you, sir?
I thought it was Super Bowl Live. This is 54 shit.
Well, 54 is for those of us in the know.
No, that's not me. I'm doing good. How's everybody else doing?
Doing well, thank you, sir. I am Todd, and we are joined as our host, as always, in the Wings, Beers, and Tears studios. Mr. Jerry, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Doing great, sir. Jerry, looks like you have something heavy you need to get off your chest before we get started.
Last week I was kind of an asshole.
Just last week, though.
Yeah, only last week.
I want to say I'm sorry to Mitch. I said he wasn't generous anymore. He wasn't a good friend. It's completely erroneous and false.
10% true.
He is a great friend.
90% true.
And it was one of those jokes that seemed funnier when it was in my head. And even though I thought it was funny,
right,
maybe it wasn't funny. And so, sorry, Mitch. Take me to more games.
There it is. There it is. The air has been cleared. We now have a clean slate. We are ready to rock and roll.
Throw up now.
So we will get to our Terps talk in just a little bit. But first, last night's Super Bowl. Hey, that was pretty fucking entertaining. That was a really good football game.
There was a football game? I just noticed the halftime show.
Wow.
That's all I noticed.
Yikes. That was quite entertaining.
I love how last year all the women were gaga over, or 2 years ago over, or maybe it was last year. I don't know. Who's the guy from Maroon 5?
Yeah, Maroon 5 was last year.
Yeah,
that was Adam Levine.
Adam Levine was, gyroing with his shirt off, and all the moms thought that was great. Is that a great word?
Yeah,
I think it's gyrating, but that's okay.
Gyrating.
It wasn't it 2 years ago, wasn't it Timberlake?
I don't know.
I think so.
But no one had a problem with that. But this year they are so offended, and there were kids watching and all of that.
Hey, it was quite the learning experience for everyone that watched. Hey, well, God
J-Lo
bless
is
those two.
50.
I know.
She is smoking.
And Shakira's 43.
No way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, the three of us can dance like them. I don't know if we can sing like them.
Jesus Christ.
I would die if I tried to dance.
Oh, my goodness. I couldn't have made it for 25 seconds in that halftime show.
The only problem with the choreography...
If he even lasted only 25 seconds doing it.
The only problem with the choreography was Jay would actually have to move his feet, and he doesn't dance like that. Jay dances in one spot very, very well. He grows roots in the middle of the dance floor, and it's tremendous. But the choreography
you see how
last
those
night
dudes were dressed?
That's fucking crazy.
Don't they have any respect for themselves? They're like in suspenders with
I don't know. I'm
tights
wearing a fucking Redskin shirt tonight. I obviously don't have respect for myself.
I mean, the women were appropriately dressed, I thought. But the men, I was like, guys, come on, man. Do you really need that $50 to be in the halftime show?
No, but seriously, though, I mean, that game, everybody said it was going to be, the old... Yeah, the very solid, well-rounded San Fran, led by the D-line, which was fan-fucking-tastic for three quarters, versus that explosive offense of KC, and that's exactly what we saw. And the only problem was San Fran had plenty of opportunities to pad the scoreline and couldn't close the deal on decent drives. They had to settle for three a couple times. That will always bite you in the ass when you have a team that can score points in a hurry. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened.
There's a lot of ways you can mitigate that, though, and I just don't. That was the biggest problem I had, is they kind of went away from what got them there in the second half. Now, maybe it was because of the scheme Kansas City was bringing later, but, I mean, you're running all over them, and then you have 2nd and 5, you throw twice and have to punt.
Yep.
Well, that made no sense to me, but that's why I do this and not that.
I'm a Kyle Shanahan guy. I thought he, has done a great job, but... Man, at the end of the half, he showed no confidence in his quarterback, and that's got to send a message. I mean, it was like he was half in, half out. He stopped him on third and long.
Yep.
They had 1:30 and change. They had 3 timeouts.
And he just let the clock run.
And he let the clock run. Didn't take a timeout.
I know.
Right? And even John Lynch was in the thing to take a timeout.
And see, that was the telling thing to me, was seeing Lynch up in the press box, doing like the timeout sign, and he's looking around at all the other pundits up there, and I was like, oh shit, man. I get
that's great camera action. Whoever caught that.
Oh, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, some guy in the trailer is like, oh, get this. But I will say this. At the time, I actually didn't rag on Shanahan, because I was like, he's blessed right now to be tied 10-10.
Right.
And he goes, just don't screw up,
And he didn't want to give the ball back to Kansas City.
And they were getting the ball first in the second half. So for him, it was like we held him to 10 points. There's absolutely, if we get down and get a miracle 3, cool, but we still get the ball coming out of halftime.
Either you run the clock out or you go for it. But you don't do both.
I could not agree more.
Right? I mean, if you're going to throw the ball deep to Kittle, which I thought that was pass interference, I thought it was offensive pass interference, I thought it was the correct call. I had no problem with it.
Right. It's been called all year. I was fine with that.
Well, or not. That's the thing.
But my problem was is if you're going to go deep, then act like you have a chance to do it. Right? If you're going to be aggressive, then take the timeout. Then you have 2 timeouts. You still have the chance to run your offense with 2 timeouts. But you're just the message I thought it sent Garoppolo was like, dude, he doesn't think I can do it.
Yep.
He thinks and true or not.
Yeah, good reason for that though.
But honestly. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do it, then just run the ball 3 times.
I agree.
Because the Kansas City didn't call a timeout after the first play. They were content to go in as well.
I agree. No. It was a weird dynamic. It was like, we don't really want to push the pace, and then they got one play, and they were like, hey, let's go.
Yeah. And then they were, so why be aggressive? It was just a weird either
Very
run
strange.
the clock out or don't. I was you go for. Because it's the old Belichick thing, right? You score before the half, then you get the ball back and score again. That's the true momentum shift.
And Shanahan's a smart dude. He had a really good game plan. He knew we have got to score points against these guys. That's the only way you're going to win. And even going in and getting 3 and then getting the ball back and getting either another 3 or another 7 right after the break would have been a huge swing.
Well, I thought that was a big swing. But even in the third quarter, when those defensive linemen were just they had Mahomes. I don't care what anybody says. They had his ass rattled.
Oh, without question.
He was throwing too.
He will tell you
picks.
That too.
Yeah, he was throwing picks. He was trying to get the ball out. He
Absolutely.
was getting hit a lot. And I think the play of the game, the sequence was when it was 8 minutes and change left, and they had the ball, and it was 2nd and 9, and Bosa broke free again and was chasing him down from the backside and dove and missed. And
he got his hand on his
foot, but he was able to get out, scramble for the first down.
Yep.
And I think that was the play. I mean, the 44-yarder was nice, and that was 3 or 4 plays later.
Yep.
But that was the play that sort of, if he could have gotten that sack there and made it like 3rd and 17.
Yep.
That would have been real difficult.
I agree with you. That play for me was the game changer because the way Mahomes popped up after he got the first down, he had this look in his eye like, let's fucking go. We can do this thing.
It was like, ignited him.
It did. He went from like, oh man, these guys are coming at me from everywhere. And he was like, fuck you, Joe Boo. I do it myself. And he took off and got around the edge. And that was the one thing with San Fran's pressure, I will say. As impressive as it was, they were giving him the edge quite often. It was there quite a bit.
They didn't have discipline in their lanes. But he was running around, and they were hitting him.
They were.
And, he was rattled.
I agree. We haven't seen him like that for 3 quarters.
No. But props to him, man. He got himself going. He got in a rhythm. And obviously the stats are in the third quarter, the fourth quarter, Jimmy G was 3 for 11 for 36 yards and a pick. And Mahomes had like 150 yards in the fourth quarter alone. I mean, the 44 was on that one play, but that sort of loosened everything up. And I think, San Fran got worn down because their offense did absolutely nothing. They were on the field the whole time.
It was that, and Jeremy made a really good point last week. KC almost plays better from behind. Like, it allows them to be a little more free, and they didn't want to be down 10 in the fourth, but at that point it was like, hey, we're going to push all our chips in.
At that point, it was 95% San Fran. I didn't think there was a chance in hell that Kansas City was going to win. So obviously they didn't want that.
Yeah, I just feel like in the end of the second half, Kyle is out, thought himself. I think the 10-10 score, he was actually probably kind of surprised the way it was going. And was like, you know what? I just don't want I don't want to go in on a bad note. But, because I think Todd's point is right. He knew he needed to score points. Well, why didn't he? Why didn't he try? Well, those two things, I agree with both ideas, but that didn't, for some reason, he had a brain fart, I feel like.
I mean, you're a professional football team. You don't have to you don't have to gunsling it, but you can at least try to matriculate the ball down the field to get in the field goal range. I mean, at that point, you only need 35 or 40 yards. It's not like you need a touchdown. I just thought that sent a bad message. And, Aikman and all those guys were surprised. John Lentz was surprised. So it's not like we're coming out of left field.
No.
You're a professional football team. Garoppolo's won 27 games or whatever he did. His record's phenomenal. He's a smart guy. I'm not saying you have to throw deep, but just try.
Right.
And,
I would say you should just throw it deep, because if it gets picked, so what? It's like a punt,
Yeah,
it's
you and I definitely subscribe to that philosophy.
I guess I just, that much time. It's not like you were at the 10-yard line. You're at the 40 or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess they
yeah.
get the false start or whatever, but, I think that was on that drive. Anyway, yeah, I think in hindsight, obviously you kill him for it. I don't think it was really that bad of a move in a vacuum, but knowing what we thought was going to happen and what did happen, it just didn't make any sense.
And I will say this, your San Fran, Shanahan's super smart, Garoppolo's super smart, and they know their limitations. And I think that's why they kind of second-guess themselves. I get it, but they didn't want to have to chase points in that game because guess what? We saw what happened when they had to chase points there at the very end. Garoppolo's great with the lead, with a good ground game, with things under control. He can't beat you by himself.
They moved the ball. They moved the ball in the third quarter. Why couldn't they do that?
Dynamics, man. And like Jay was saying, maybe KC saw the writing on the wall and sold out a little bit on defense, and that forced Shanahan's hand a little bit. I don't know.
I think KC was tickled freaking pink when they weren't calling timeouts and the clock was running because KC wasn't calling timeouts.
Oh, in the first half?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about later like you were saying in the third quarter, they were putting up, San Fran they were controlling the game.
Yeah, they were controlling the game.
But I think KC made some changes, and desperate changes. They kind of went all in on O&D and went, hey, we got one chance, and it worked because they have the athletes. They have the best player on the field, Mahomes, and their D made plays when they had to.
Well, in the fourth quarter, if you guys remember, Kansas City scores, makes it 20-17, right? And then San Fran gets the ball, 6 minutes left. They run the ball on first down, get 5 yards, and they're pounding. And then they throw two.
That's what I was saying. It was like that twice.
I mean, it was one was batted down. They went to go to Kittle, and then the rest was But I don't. That didn't make sense to me either.
That was very Jay Gruden-esque.
Yeah, but not because you're conservative, it's because you're going to get a first down, and if you get a first down, you can run more clock.
Yep.
So
no, that was the worst case scenario for San Fran.
Again, just more overthinking as far as I'm concerned. Because he's probably like, hey, I've been setting up this play action for 2.5 quarters.
And that's what
so
they
have to run it.
Right.
No, not really.
Right.
I feel bad for Kyle Shanahan. He seems like a good guy, but he's had the collapse when he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, and now he's got this.
That is true.
And losing when you have a 10-point lead and you're dominating, and you lose, you give up 21 straight points. I mean, that's pretty tough to swallow.
It is. On the other side, I do feel bad because Shanahan's a real likable guy. He works hard, very competent, good head coach.
He's a good coach.
So, yeah, you do feel bad for him, but you feel equally as good for Andy Reid.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk about a guy who's just toiled and done his thing and has pretty much zero affect, win or lose. He's taken his losses over the years like a man. He'll say, "Yep, the other guys got us," and it was good to see him be on the other side of that.
He's been through a ton personally. Nobody, it's not like they ran him out of Philly. Everybody liked him there too.
Absolutely. He was getting
time ran.
Post Super Bowl, like all the tweets and stuff pouring in from Philly and all that kind of stuff. Very likable guy. So a little like Trotz when he won it with the Caps. Like even the Caps haters were like, that guy deserves it,
right?
And I don't think there's any Chiefs haters out there.
The best player on the field was Tyreek Hill, and there's no chance in the world he was going to win MVP. But he was by far, I thought, the best player on the Chiefs.
He was a game changer, man. I thought Williams was a monster too.
He was, but a lot of it was that last run. But Hill, he was the go-to guy whenever they needed to play throughout the game.
He was. Now, I did notice that KC did one thing throughout the game offensively that I was kind of impressed with, and we made the point that they can't get the tough yards on running plays. They ran Williams on a lot of 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3s, and got it.
They ran out of funky formations.
They did.
Did you see that one where they spin?
Yes.
Was that the same play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they lined up and they all spun over.
The same play.
Yeah, Bieniemy said he was looking at old tape and everything. That's so cool. I think that guy's brilliant, by the way. Bieniemy. Obviously, when you have tools,
sleeping with Bieniemy, remember that? Chris
That's right.
Thanks, Chris.
Obviously, when you've got the tools that he has, it's easy to look like an offensive genius. But he seems to be very forward thinking. He doesn't, just go by the book and say, "Well, we've run this play and it's worked." He's kind of like, let's throw a wrinkle in here and see if it works. And
if they're bringing a lot of pressure, you get
okay. So
pick up the middle.
Here's the transition, right? You see two teams in the Super Bowl, both well-deserving to be there. It was really a coin flip game right until the very end. That's all you can ask for. So what are these teams doing that you want your team to do. And here we've got the Ravens, who seem to be right at the doorstep of being perhaps where KC is. And then you have the Redskins, who are obviously, light years behind. However, now with a competent head coach, hopefully some player development and scouting, some draft picks, is Chase Young now like at the top of our list come hell or high water, or are we still in that wait and see game with the trade deadline, everything else? And the reason I bring that, or now with who our trading partner could be come draft time, the reason I bring this up is Bosa was a game changer last night. If San Fran wins that game, he's arguably the MVP of the Super Bowl.
But that's the rub right there. If they win the game, they didn't win the game. So.
I get it. But
I think when I texted you guys when I was watching. When I was watching the game, I just said, "This is why you have to draft Chase Young."
I completely agree.
If he's as good as what everybody says he is,
right?
I mean, we're assuming that he's a generational talent, like everybody says he is.
Exactly.
Right. So if you have him rated like that, I think what it does is it shows you that defensive pass rush in the NFL is the most important ingredient, because San Francisco has a slow corner in Sherman, have no corner in the other people, and their safeties are just pedestrian.
Yep.
And if they can get to the quarterback and you have 3 seconds to throw the ball, you can win with bad corners.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Or below average corners.
Sure. No, it's a game changer. I mean, when your front four can control the game, you have a chance.
And if Kyle Shanahan wouldn't have got brain fart and too so conservative, and
he did the anti John Harbaugh.
I want to make a point. I mean, I heard this on the radio and it makes sense. When you have an elite quarterback, the game is never over. When you don't have an elite quarterback, the game can't end fast enough.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Trying to get the game over with,
and I mean,
that's what
last night was Exhibit A in that exact scenario.
He was trying to get the game over with, trying to bleed clock, and it backfired on him. But to answer your question, I think Chase Young, I think that other than having a quarterback, is the biggest trait. But the biggest key to success in the NFL is winning with a rookie quarterback who's on a rookie contract. Not a rookie quarterback.
Right.
But you need to
when he is cost controlled.
When he is cost controlled like Mahomes is right now. Where it's going to change is when Mahomes gets paid his $40 million, and now you got to let 2 wide receivers go, 2 outside linebackers go, and you can't sign the depth guys that you have now.
Yep.
That's when it's going to change. And the best chance for success is if the Redskins can do it, because Lamar's on his rookie contract too.
Yes, he is.
So and then in the Ravens too. So you have your best player can be your cheapest player. That's the formula.
Yep. And you've harped on the importance of a good tight end as well in a dynamic offense.
Yes.
I mean, Kelsey and Kittle made. I mean, they make their respective teams go.
That's the Redskins' number one need in free agency. Get a tight end. Because Vernon retired, and Reed should retire.
Yeah.
If he was smart.
I hope Reed retires for his own health.
But they need at least 1, probably 2 new tight ends. And that can be a quarterback's best friend.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Jeremy?
It shows how far the Redskins are away from anything.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
it is quite depressing.
You can turn stuff around, and what I'm really, I guess, hoping is that Young is just head and shoulders above everybody else, and there's no question.
That's what I'm hoping too.
Because
it won't be like that for the Redskins.
I really do want the 3 picks. I know you can't guarantee 3 first-rounders, but I think if they get offered that, I'd have a hard time, especially knowing who else is available in that top 5 or 6, who to me would be pretty darn close to as impactful as Young.
Well, that's the key, which we don't know.
Yeah. Right.
We don't know how he's going to test out. We don't know how he's going to grade out. The argument I've heard from people is, yes, he's had, more sacks per whatever than anybody in the history of football except for one person. However, a lot of those sacks are like he had 4 in one game, then he had 3 in one game, and then some games he had none. So it's not like he was having sacks every game. I'm sure he was very disruptive. I'm sure he was, checked and doubled and all that stuff. But I'm hoping, like Jeremy says, that they go and they just wow. He works out and they're like, holy shit.
Right.
This other kid's good. This corner, Okuda or whatever his name is. He's good. He's really good. He's a lockdown. But this guy, oh my God.
You hope he's good enough
like
that somebody starts calling you because they want Chase Young at number 2, as opposed to, hey, we know you like Chase Young and he's okay. Hey, there's like a half dozen other really good, impactful guys, and we want Tua.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping he works out, and they say 12 sacks next year. 12 sacks next year. If he doesn't get it, we've not coached him correctly,
right?
Because that guy gets off the line, and he's got power, and his hips are so fluid.
And I know he hasn't coached a game or a practice yet with us, and I know Rivera. I mean, he could be a very average coach. I don't know. He's so much better than what we've had, but just the thought of him getting a guy in young like that just harkens back to the Peppers days when Rivera was in Carolina. And you're like...
And Von Miller when Del Rio was in Denver.
And it's right fucking there in front of us. And I'm like, this scenario just seems to work. But like Jeremy said, the enticement of if the correct trade partner exists and the combo of picks is there...
Well, it can't just be following the trade chart if he's an elite talent. It's... here's the beginning and add a first round pick to it.
Right. Here's the trade chart. Here's the trade chart plus a guy like Chase Young.
Yeah. Now we want an extra first.
Right.
Well, that's where you're hoping that Tua just looks amazing. Miami can't get away from themselves, and they give us all 3 of their firsts this year.
I think that's a given. I
don't think that's a given.
I think Tua will hit. People are so quarterback desperate.
Yeah.
They're with Herbert. I think he's going to blow up, and people are going to be cramming to get to the top.
Yeah.
I think what they're hoping is that Chase Young is that good too. If you're Miami, you want Chase Young to be so good that the Redskins, they're not going to talk to you. So now you can talk to Detroit and give up less.
Yeah.
Right. That's one because Burrow goes 1, Young goes 2, and then maybe the kid in Ohio State is so good at corner that Detroit goes, I can't pass on that. This guy's a lockdown freaking Deion Sanders corner. Now you're getting that. Now you're dealing with only the Giants, and now you have 2 quarterbacks.
In that scenario, I agree with you. The only thing we do have going for us, if we're looking to dangle that pick a little bit, if Young isn't as guarantee as we think he is, I think Detroit needs a quarterback badly.
Well, the thought is that Stafford may be out.
Yes.
Like they may have run the course on that, and they may be looking for a quarterback, which is why that is the best case scenario, because Burrow goes number 1, and we're getting the Redskins are getting calls from Miami and the Chargers, and Detroit goes, you know what, guys, we want Herbert. We want Herbert. We've worked him out. We'll switch with you. We'll give you a third. And then, or a second, probably maybe not a second, but a third, and we're going to take Herbert. We're not going to dick you like that. We're not going to say we're taking Herbert, then get up there and take Chase Young or trade out.
Do the old McPhee.
Well,
little wink.
Yeah, you have. I mean, you have to have integrity. Right? Yeah. So if you want to do business with us in the next 50 years, don't fuck us now. But that's the best case scenario, is that Detroit says trade with us, we'll give you our third, and then you move back 1 spot, you get Chase Young and more picks. Mm-hmm. That's the best.
Right.
And if Stafford's not on board, that might be in play.
Whole lot of scenarios. Let's switch over to the Ravens real quick, because I said this to Jay. I can see them. So Mahomes, the last 2 years, has been lights out, amazing, star, every household name now, right? In 3 short years. And they bowed out of the playoffs the last 2 years, unceremoniously. They seem to be explosive. They seem to be missing a piece. Sometimes in the NFL, you can't take the Russell Wilson route. You don't just go right to the Super Bowl your rookie year. Sometimes you have to grind a little bit, even if you look flashy on paper. And I'm hoping that means Jackson is following that track too with the Ravens. And I'm hoping that he is lights out again next year, but he's learned from it. The rest of the team catalyzes around him. They add a few pieces on defense, offensive line help, etc., and they're right where the Chiefs are right now. I could totally see that scenario where the Ravens have learned, from their failures the last couple years and are right there in the mix next year, similar to the Chiefs.
What's our biggest need?
I would say edge rusher, because Judon is on the trade block, if you believe a lot of the media reports. He's going to want a big contract, and they necessarily probably don't think he's worth it. So I can see them going edge rusher, outside linebacker. They certainly need offensive linemen, and they need wide receivers.
They also need safety or secondary help.
Right. So, I mean, they have needs. I mean, Lamar and their offense was dynamic, but they need one more receiver. On defense, I think is where they're going to focus early in the draft.
I think so too.
They need pass rushing, and they need like back end help.
Yep. I think that they can get some depth wide receivers later in the draft. There's a lot of wide receivers in this draft that appear to be NFL talents that are they're not going to go the first day or two.
They have Snead and those guys who are likable and they love them, but they're just
backups.
guys.
Yeah, they're backups.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
just if you get another wide receiver with Brown and you have the tight ends there, they need offensive linemen in the worst way because Yanda may retire. But I would think that their biggest need is defensive line.
I think you nailed it. I think D line, linebacker, secondary, O line, wide receiver. Now, of course, shuffle that order up if you want based on who's available and free agent possibilities and everything else. But those are the departments for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, they just need that like stud. It's kind of country to say stud number 2 receiver though, but that's what they really need. They don't really need a number 1 with the rushing game and with the tight ends they have, but somebody who's just at one level below, won't make too much money, but can catch that 100 balls.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Not for 1,500 yards, but for 1,000 yards.
I'm telling you, the evolution of the offense in the NFL. If you're Dwayne Haskins, you are begging Ron Rivera for a tight end.
Oh yeah,
just someone who can get open 8 yards down the field.
That's right.
And be your safety net.
That's it.
When your rhythm's not there, when you don't feel great, when they're coming up on you pass rush, and one big motherfucker is going to run 5 yards, turn around, and shield them off and get the ball and get you 8 yards.
Yeah, you want that quick hitting check down to be that big motherfucker in the middle and not Chris Thompson 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. God bless Chris Thompson. He's been dynamic. He's been great when he's healthy, but that's not. He's your secondary check. He's not the horse.
I think what the Chiefs just proved is that you do not need elite offensive tackles or elite offensive guards or elite centers to win. Those days are over. Yes, Mahomes got crushed. I get it. And they were getting that offensive lineman, God bless him, he was getting his shit kicked out of him.
76?
Yeah, 71 or whatever. But none of them are Pro Bowlers. And the Chiefs realized that we need playmakers. We need playmakers. We got a tight end who's probably one of the best in the game. We got Hill. We got a great quarterback who can get the ball out quick. You do not need MASH. The guys who, you don't need the hogs.
Right.
You just need guys who can get in the way of somebody because when the defense is going to be spread out anyway, to get in the way and create a quick hole so they can get 5-6 yards.
And they're so dangerous when you can play fast.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that's why Shanahan was a little bit deer in headlights there at the end of the first half. In the back of his mind, he's going, I know exactly what we should be doing, but goddamn, they are fast and they're fearless and they're not playing their best, and this game is tied.
Keep it fucking simple.
Yep.
I mean, Jay Gruden had all these formations and all this shit, and
I told you, man, he's like the nerd that plays Madden with all these formations, and the reality is they can't even run like a square in,
And I even think, and this is what it comes down to the trust factor again with Jimmy G, because to me, that's why do your slants, do your check downs, make that the plan so that you're moving the ball. And if it is incomplete, you got another play, why not do that? The only thing was he didn't trust him to not throw that pick or get the ball deflected,
I guess he didn't
or whatever
trust
it
him.
is.
But he's trustworthy.
Yeah.
He's not elite, but he's trustworthy. He's won a lot of games for you. It's not like he's a rookie with a deer in his headlights. He's
I agree. He's a smart guy who knows his own limitations.
Yeah. And you have Kittle, and now your wide receivers aren't great.
No, but that guy Samuel was dynamic.
Yeah, he was.
No, he was impressive.
You have Kittle, you have him, and you can run the ball. And if you're running the ball 5 yards a pop, it doesn't fucking matter.
I know.
I guess he thought that play action would work, but man.
Like Jay said, it's almost like that was part of his grand plan, and they got to that point in the game. He's like, God damn it, we planned for play action, and we're going to run it.
Yeah,
and they ran themselves right out of a possible win.
Because he's a good coach, but his legacy right now is when shit gets good in the big game, he folds.
Yep.
And he can't wait to get the game over, and he ends up they lose their grasp.
Yeah.
When you play not to win and play to hold on and just get the game over with, that's when shit. But if Bosa makes that sack, we're talking about how great Kyle Shanahan's year was, going from 2-11 to Super Bowl champions.
Or if he gets that ball when he has his strip there.
Yeah, and the ball bounced right. I mean, there were so many fucking times it was so close.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Hey, good NFL season. It was exciting. It was nice to see some new blood.
It was the best Super Bowl I've seen in a while.
Yeah, in terms of the X's and O's, that was really impressive. I was, definitely applauding both teams' efforts last night. That was good shit. But again,
I'm sure San Francisco is very happy we're applauding them.
Absolutely. San Francisco was third in my applause volume 2.
If you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, my applause last night went Shakira, J-Lo, followed by the Chiefs, followed by San Fran. So, yeah.
Shakira was easily number one for me.
Without question. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe she was actually trying to play instruments. There's no way she's playing the guitar, and on the drum set she looked like Peyton.
Hey, man, it was all good. All good in my book.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you.
All right, so let's move into a topic that is near and dear to Jerry here, and let's talk about our Caps.
Fuck it, I'm done.
So last week saw the Caps continue their play, in my opinion. Some flashes of what they can be, some flashes of what we fear they might be, and then a little bit of disinterest followed by some bad luck, kind of peppered in the middle. So yesterday, prime time, before the Super Bowl, Caps Pens, home game, rivals, yada, yada, yada. Doc Emmerich on the call. And, hey, you know what? Caps got the first goal. Looked pretty good. It was a great shot by Eller. A nice rebound off of the penalty kill, only to give the puck away in the neutral zone 30 seconds later and find a snipe back the other way. And that's kind of the story of that game. And unfortunately, it echoes the story of the year for them. When they make mistakes, they're not minor, and it ends up in the back of their net. And now, we've seen a couple times now, it really doesn't matter whether it's Samsonov or Holtby. When they make mistakes, it's like grade A chances, and it's going the other way.
Yep, and, unfortunately, Sammy, just wasn't very good. But, again, tough chances, and that's what happens. He's not going to stop them all. So,
well, when you allow snipers to snipe, you're going to get fucked in the NHL. And you cannot give them time and space, and that's exactly what we did yesterday. And that turnover is a prime example. They don't make the simple play and go up the boards, try and go up the middle. I get it, they're creative or whatever else. When you fuck up, get back. Haul ass. That guy had time and space on the offside, which is the worst nightmare for a goalie, and he picked his corner and he got it. And that just cannot happen.
No, I think that, I don't know. I'm frustrated that it seems like, I think more people are frustrated with Holtby on this, but I'm just going to put both of them in the same boat. We need that save. And we're not getting it.
Bingo. Agreed with you.
Times. But, yes, it starts with the defense, starts even with the forechecking, the breakouts that,
Well, I'm fairly certain that giveaway was Oshie. It was a forward. It was a forward on the right side, and it was just a shit pass. It had no pace, had no business making that pass other than like stick and puck,
That's what I mean. Definitely not all it's not all on anybody. Again,
no, it's not.
What you hope, and hope's a four-letter word, obviously, but that the system is the way it is that it can lock it down and say, okay, a playoff game, tied the third period, everything up the boards, whatever it might be.
Yep.
Hey, we're messing around a little bit right now. We want to get our own chances. We'll give up some. We don't mind because we know how to fix it. But you never want to have to flip a switch, and that's where they're leaning a little bit.
Fuck are we talking about?
So that was your hockey analysis 101. Now let's get into the hockey fandom 101.
You guys are talking micro. This is a macro problem. Yesterday was just it made it against Pittsburgh, which made it even worse with all those douches down there, right?
Well, there's nothing that burns your ass more than watching a Pittsburgh team beat a local DC or Baltimore team.
Fuck me. How many Pittsburgh fans were there? Don't they have jobs in Pittsburgh?
They're all here.
I wasn't there. I don't give a shit.
They're all here.
All right. Here's my thing. If you're going to continue to make mistakes, then you have to have a goalie that can make the big save.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Eddie Olczyk that made the point that Todd Reird has done a great job with Samsonov of putting him in positions that he could win against teams that he can have success against. Yesterday was the first time he was going up against a team with an offense like Pittsburgh.
Right.
And so they made that point pretty early, which I had not really considered. Mm-hmm. This ain't fucking Ottawa anymore.
Exactly. Right.
And you would if you ever listen to me, but that's okay. Don't worry about
it. But thank you. So if you're going to do it, right, so maybe Samsonov's numbers are a little bit illusory,
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually are with a young goalie who
Right.
gets protected
I get it.
minutes.
I get it.
It's like easy starts in baseball, you
Right.
know.
So if your conclusion is that you don't have a goalie either way right now that can make incredible shots over and over again and face 40 and just because he's saving your ass so many times and when your turnovers you're just going to get a stop, then you can't turn the fucking puck over. And they turn the puck over a lot.
Yes, they do.
And their defense has breakdowns a lot.
Yes, they do.
And this is not something that's new. This is something that we've been talking about for at least over a month, saying, hey, man, they seem to have a lot of fucking breakdowns. And against Pittsburgh, it seems to me like if you make a mistake, they're going to nail you on it, right? It doesn't seem like Pittsburgh has more talent than the Capitals. They're just smarter. They're just smarter, and they either by coaching or by experience or by the type of player they have, they don't make mistakes. And it's like when they wait for the Caps to do something stupid or flashy that doesn't work, and then they capitalize on it, and the Caps get all flustered, and then they can't recover from it. That seems to be the mechanism. And so, you know, I'm watching what I watch. I don't really know if I have confidence in what I'm watching, so I get on the internet. And these guys, you know, by and large, the defensive breakdowns are every game. I don't think they're going to win with this defense. I just don't think they're going to win a playoff series with Jensen getting minutes. And Gudas, I think, proved yesterday he can't handle big minutes against speed. So they need somebody. It's not a luxury. They will not win a series with the current group of defensemen they have. They need to make a trade for somebody who can get top 4 minutes. So that's my first thought. The second thought is whoever the fuck Blaine Forsythe is, get him out of the fucking building. They're the worst power play in the NHL. And if he's running the show, fuck him. Get him out. I don't know. How fucking hard? It doesn't make sense to me. You have this much talent, and you're throwing up over yourself, and this little fucking midget is running your power play, and nobody seems to trade. Nobody seems to get rid of him. I mean, fuck. How hard is it to make a fucking change? It's the dumbest fucking thing in the world. I don't even want a power play. I don't want a power play. When there's a power play, I'm like, fuck, they're going to score. The other team right now has a better chance to score than we have to score on the fucking power play. And it's because Blaine fucking Forsythe that everybody, Al Kogan thinks he's this great. That guy's a douche. What the fuck? Let Jeremy coach the power play.
I'm down.
I don't fucking understand. They're getting worse. Every month it's worse. They don't get better. Why? How does he still have a job? What value does this little shit bring to the fucking I mean, he might be a great guy. I don't know. Maybe he makes great pastries. I don't know what he does. Right? But on the power play, if he's the one that's entrusted with it, he's proven that he sucks at it.
I can't wait for Andrea to do the show notes and put them in the details and be like, the boys talk about pastry chef Blaine Forsythe and other things, Caps.
I don't know. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I mean,
tell me why.
Well, you are just wrong, but you're not. But you're in probably the majority of fans in terms of how they feel about Forsythe. At least fans that say shit. So here's the deal: if you really do want to go back and look at his numbers, and you probably don't, because it'll just show how kind of wrong you are. But that's all right. Top 3 to 5 every year, always better in the playoffs every year. That's really all there is to say.
All right, so here's my grasping at straws here.
There's a lot more. I'll just let Todd take care of it.
So here's my grasping at straws. The power play right now makes me want to throw up. It's awful. I said this months ago. It's too slow. It's too predictable. It's too systematic. Aside from the Ovi office goal, which he's going to get just because he's the best shooter in fucking history of the league, and the rebound goal, which has been coming usually from power play unit 2 at the end of the 2 minutes. Aside from that, we're pretty much going to go 0 for 4, 1 for 5 every game. It is really, really painful to watch. I will say this, though. We have lived off of the power play in the regular season for so many years, being in the top 5 of the league, only to see the power play opportunities per game dry up in the playoffs. And that is a known fact in the NHL. If you average 4.5 power plays per game during the regular season, knock it off by at least 1, if not 1.5 opportunities. So in the playoffs, the 5v4 opportunities dry up. So the teams that live off of the power play goal and advantage from the regular season tend to struggle with more 5v5 hockey. So in a real weird alternate universe, this is the first year the Caps power play has been this bad. What if we're that team that hits the playoffs and goes, we don't need a power play? It didn't do shit for us this year. Now, this is not by design. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that it is absolutely anemic and hard to watch.
It's not good.
All I'm saying is, as a hockey fan, watching my team go into the playoffs and lose year after dominating in the regular season, this is a team that can play 5v5 and might be arguably the best 5v5 team in the league in terms of differential.
I have to take back part of what I said because even though I said Jerry was wrong, he definitely had some points right. And part of that is
the volume was good. The energy was great.
Oh, the F-bombs were hilarious too. And the pastry chef thing was probably, best moment of the pod. So, no, but the other thing is when you only have a couple, they are that much more important in the playoffs. Not just to score, but to keep momentum. Don't give up a damn shorty. And those are actually the concerns where we are now. This isn't just a bad power play. I mean, anemic at best, giving up too many chances, and you only got a couple months to fix it.
Yep.
So and they're trying. They've made some changes, not running the whole first unit out there the first unit out there for the whole 2 minutes, things like that. But it ain't working. So, Forsythe need to earn that money, or he's going to be a pastry chef pretty soon.
Since I'm reading from the internet,
yes,
so it's true. Since December 3rd, the Caps have had 87 chances with the extra man, which is the second most in the league, and they've scored just 13 goals. While giving up a leading 7 shorthanded goals, the power play rate over that span is an abysmal 14%.
See, and that's where the 7 shorties, it's like double whammy. 13 for 87 blows. 13 for 87 plus 7 against is fucking awful.
And it's not getting better.
Well, and that's what concerns me. And again, I have harped on this from our preview show. I don't like it when we don't play with pace. I don't like it when we don't push our aggressiveness on the other team. And this team tends to sit back more often than not. And when they have the power play, I mean, did you see the second power play yesterday? Pittsburgh had more shots than we did, and they were golden chances. Yep. We were fucking slow in the neutral zone.
Yeah, I don't understand why that even happens.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Sitting guys.
I know.
We're not moving.
I know. They got to move their feet because this game, with all the X's and O's, we just talked about in the NFL how coaches overthink everything, right? Well, the game of hockey begins and ends with skating. And this team can skate. And yesterday is another example of why this team frustrates me. So yesterday, first period, I thought we were dog shit. Second period, I thought it was a pretty even game. Third period, I thought we completely dominated. How can we skate like that in the third against a team that completely imposed their will on us in the first? Then if you're one of the Pittsburgh coaches, you're probably saying the same thing. Score effects, I get it. We're on the road, but why did we give up that many grade A chances in the third period when we held them at bay in the first? Bottom line is this is a very even league, and you have to go with what works for you. And what works for us is not slow, stagnant play because our goalie can't make the 10-bell save when we need him to, and our power play it's dried up.
It seems like Forsythe's change is to move Ovi from one side to the other.
Which is complete bullshit, by the way.
And that doesn't fucking do anything. We can't get the puck in the zone. It looks like when we're on the power play that the other team has 2 extra fucking skaters. And
you know what's funny? You said that about Carolina last year in the playoffs.
Can't get the fucking...
And it's continued.
Yeah. It's Press Virginia, man. You can't get the fucking ball up the,
Yeah.
So it's infuriating, and it just seems like a lot of people have Jeremy's attitude, like, well, we'll fucking fix it in the playoffs. Because I had a stat, and the stats.
I don't think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, enough said. Let's go fix it in the playoffs.
Sound like your brother John right now. No, I think
that's my one imitation for everybody.
No, but I think what Jeremy's saying is he's not ready to jump off the ship.
Oh, I'm done.
Clearly, but
fucking ready for the Nats, dude.
You were talking about 2009.
But there is some reason for optimism based on the talent, based on the track record, based on the coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. But at some point, all that shit is great. But if it doesn't result in change, then it's worth nothing.
I think there's going to be. I mean, I'm convinced that Jensen's done he's going to get bumped down. If McClellan doesn't get a top 4 defenseman, even if we have to give up draft picks and prospects that we don't want to, and that's going to sting when he does it, you're like, I think he realizes this defensive group is deficient. You just can't win a series with these guys because they're going to continue to make fucking mistakes.
He knows. I mean, he's been saying it since, what was it, November? Maybe even that we're looking for that number 4 guy. Nobody's stepping up. I mean, to me, it's clear now that's Jensen. Clear.
Got to be.
And because
it can't be Gudis. He can't skate.
No, well, you mentioned Gudis, and McClellan does everything for a reason. He got Gudis to be a third pair guy.
Yeah.
And he and Siegs, third pair, not bad. But they need to play a little bit more because Jensen's just not getting it done.
They need a right-handed defenseman, right? Not a left-handed defenseman because there's Jensen right-handed.
I mean, if they're purely replacing Jensen, yes, you'd want to go righty most likely.
Then that kid from New Jersey's, the name that people are allowed to talk, Virtanen?
Virtanen,
Virtanen, yeah.
And so you're going to have to give up to get someone like that,
right?
Cap-wise and player-wise, you're going to have to give up somebody you don't want to give up.
Cap-wise is going to be the bigger issue because
something's got to go the other way at that point.
Yeah, something's got to go. Yeah.
I feel like that
no one's going to take Jensen.
Well, no, they're not. But actually, who knows? If they're not making the playoffs, maybe they won't care in terms of New Jersey. But no, the thing is, the Caps, I do think have the assets that teams are going to want. You got a guy like Juice, you got a guy like Ferrari. You can give up one of those guys.
I don't want to give up on Ferravari. I'm sorry.
Give up on him. I'm saying,
I know this is where it gets hard.
And this is like you said, you can't get something without giving something, and it's going to sting.
Whatever. If they do that, what I'm advocating is get a top 4 guy, not just don't make a prudent move, make a bold move. You're gonna have to give up somebody that you're like, God damn, I don't want to do it.
Right.
And it's going to be one of those top prospects and a draft pick.
Right.
Or some veteran who you don't want to give up, but you have to for salary purposes.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be a move that he has to make.
Now I also recognize in the playoffs, Carlson's not coming out of the fucking game. Either is Kempney, and Gudis is playing 6-7 minutes, right? So they shorten that shit up. But eventually, you're going to have a 4th guy who can be dependable. And I think it has to be somebody who's not offensive. Because Orlov is everywhere. I mean, he rushes, so does... That's why Kempney and Carlson are so good together. Because Carlson's up there and Kempney's always
just it. It's got to be a complementary player. You can't just bring a guy in. Let's say there's a stud out there, but he's a lefty and he rushes all the time. You can't just bring him in and play him in the top 4 because it's not going to work.
He's not what we need because he's going to be defensively deficient.
Exactly.
Right? We need somebody who's not going to make which Jensen was when he came over. He was like, here's your stay-at-home defenseman.
Right.
He's not flashy, but he doesn't make mistakes. Well, apparently now he makes a ton of fucking mistakes. And I don't know if he's injured or if he's got a confidence problem, but...
My thought, going back a couple weeks and watching it, as we were talking about how his play's been pretty blah. He looks like he's nursing an injury because he's not playing as physical. He's never been a super physical guy, but he's got plenty of size. He's got plenty of toughness. He's not going into the corners. He's not doing all the shit that was enticing when we got him.
Well, yesterday hurt. Because that was a time, and not just because it's fucking Pittsburgh.
Oh, that stung your ass.
I was getting texts from all these douches who, from Pittsburgh, who can't spell. You are Ed. But it was. They had an opportunity to fucking make a statement. First game, they're 6 up, and Pittsburgh they just are tougher. They've always just been fucking tougher. Look, nobody's tougher than Wilson. I'm talking mentally. Mm-hmm. The Caps are always talented, but they fucking make a mistake. Pittsburgh, some no-name fucking dude on Pittsburgh who I've never even heard of, gets the puck, scores.
Lafferty.
Yeah. And then now we're getting frustrated. There's a bunch of penalties that they take because the Caps are stupid, and they get all emotional. And Crosby's out there bitching about Oshie hitting him with the stick when he actually grabbed the stick, and he's such a fucking douchebag. And Mario Lemieux doesn't congratulate Ovi for passing him when everybody else does. Go fuck yourself. Go back in bankruptcy. You worst run fucking franchise ever. What a joke. I hope you. Never. I can't say it. But you had a chance to fucking send a message, and they come out and they're smarter and they're tougher. Mm-hmm. And I think smarter and tougher teams will win a 7-game series. Because obviously Malkin is amazingly talented. He always seems to make plays against us, so someone needs to take that motherfucker out before the playoffs. And Crosby is Crosby. He didn't really do much.
I thought Malkin was ass yesterday, but
yeah, I didn't think Crosby and Malkin were great, and that's what scares me a little bit about Pittsburgh. Their line got shut down. It's what scares me about Pittsburgh, and we said it a couple months ago when they were treading water with all those injuries. everybody they're bringing in from their farm system, unheralded guys, they're playing really well.
Yeah.
And I will say this: I'm an analytical guy. I'm more of an X's and O's guy. I like watching the game of hockey, but in the end, the more intense team generally has the advantage, and we have not brought the intensity in many of our games that we have struggled.
It's because we have a coach that the players don't fucking respond to. They don't respond to him. They don't. I'm sorry. They don't respond to him. I have no confidence that this son of a bitch is going to be able to get them to go in the playoffs. I just think they're like, hey, Todd, what's going on? You're a nice guy. Want a pastry? Hey, all that shit. But they do not respond to him. I don't know if it's an X's or other things, but he cannot get people motivated.
Yeah, they definitely need to play harder. They need to play faster. Yes, I know I've gone to that well again, but until they fucking do it, I'm going to keep saying it because that's the way this league is built. It is speed, speed, speed.
Against when we play decent teams, tough teams, 4 and 5 goals every time, and that can't be fucking just an anomaly.
No.
Oh well, it happens. No, it doesn't. It shouldn't happen here. And I think Holtby gets the bad rap because there's breakdowns in front of him and the turnovers in front of him, and he gets no fucking help, and he's not elite to make every stop like Brodeur was. Right? That guy was a shutdown, and I don't think Samsonov is either. Well, nor are 90% of the other goalies.
Well, and that's the problem is we're giving up too many of those grade A chances that it doesn't really matter who's in net. So
another situation too.
Yeah,
I mean, you give it up when you're on the power play.
Yep,
you're still the penalty kill's been good.
Their penalty kill's been really good. But they actually play with more effort on the penalty kill than they do any other time. And I get it, penalty killing is effort. But
I wonder if it's because they have tougher play. Like Hagelin can't do he's ass on offense, but goddamn, that guy's fucking speedy and tough.
Leipzig, even Siegenthaler. Siegenthaler is a different defenseman on the PK than he is 5v5.
It's strange, honestly.
It's so weird.
And then, but then you get like Kuzi, he'll just nonchalantly go up on the power play, do some back between the legs pass right to the fucking defender, and the guy takes it up the ice because nobody's back. Of course, Carlson's rushed up, and there's like one guy back, and of course they get the fucking shorty. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, please don't. Go to the ref and say, I don't want to be fouled. I don't care if I get high stick and you see blood coming down my face.
Can we defer the penalty? Can he just sit on his own bench for 2 minutes, almost like a misconduct? Yeah, but can we play 5v5?
Yeah, don't fucking give me a call. Because every time it goes a power play, now I'm like, well, fuck.
I'm kind of with you. There's been games I've watched where I'm like, oh, come on, that's a call. And I'm like, well, who gives a shit? We're 0 for 4. we have like one collective shot.
And I think Blaine Forsythe needs to get a fucking job at Jimmy Count.
They don't do pastries, do they?
I don't know, but that's the only ice cream thing I can think of.
Blaine, we will welcome you in Damascus with open arms. Jerry might not, but I will.
Fuck that. Get your shit together. Hey, I got an idea, Todd. Why don't we put Ovi on the other side? That'll mind fuck them, dude. We'll get like goals left and right. And let's keep doing the slingshot because that works.
I was just shaking my head when I saw him on the other side. I'm all for trying different things, but it was 0 point to it.
What is Torts? What would it take to have Torts? Like
I don't want Torts on this team.
I do.
I don't want Torts here. I like Tortorella. I'd love to have him on the pod. I'd love to have a beer with him. I don't want him coaching my team.
Oh, he's so tough. They need someone so tough.
He is extremely tough, and he's such a prick that half of that room would just give him the middle finger on day one.
Come in here once Ovi and Becky retire. Until then, don't.
Stay away. Stay away. All right. So we only have a few minutes left this week, but let's turn our attention to our Terps real quick because our Terps they're on a heater right now. We talked about last week them kind of finding their rhythm a little bit, but we didn't really trust them because it's Turgeon and it's the Terps. And now here they are.
Maybe Blaine Forsythe should be the coach of the Terps.
They have now cracked the top 10 for the first time since the middle part of December. And we had those losses against Penn State, and we had that awful loss at Iowa. And they seem to be finding their groove a little bit right now.
They got some tough road games.
They've got some tough games coming up.
And that's when it matters.
Yep, absolutely. But I got to tell you, that win against Iowa was quite impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Because Iowa played really well. They shot the ball mid-40s. They were tough. They were, like Jay said, they put up 72 points on the road in the Big Ten. That's damn good.
Yeah.
And they lost by 10. I mean, that was a really impressive effort by Maryland. And I will say this. You nailed it last time. We have an experienced senior point guard with NBA talent just fucking live and die by him right now. Cowan's the best guy on the floor when he wants to be.
If he doesn't drive the ball at least every other possession, there's a problem. That's just what I want.
He's so damn good with the ball. I mean,
him and Stick should be like option 1 and 1A every
that's what
time.
I mean. And that's why when we look back in December and early January, when we were going on stretches of like 7 and 8 minutes without a field goal from the floor, I'm like, how do you do that with Cowan and Jalen Smith on your team? How's that possible? Just let them take turns taking shots, and they will make one in the course of 7 or 8 minutes.
I'd like to see Maryland just get on a heater.
I know.
Going into the tournament. I mean, just get on.
I'm like, come on, boys, let's go. Yes, I
just
agree.
Get on a heater, 5, 6 in a row. This win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1. I mean, that's great and all. I mean, yeah, I guess you can get to the tournament with that. But if you're not on a heater where Cowan says, whatever happens, I'm the best player on the floor, and I'll win the game. Just give me a chance.
So you're right. The road gauntlet coming up, because it's the Big Ten, is going to be hard. I don't care what the record is. You're going on the road in some tough environments, and they're going to have to find a way to grind out some wins, which is why it's so important to continue to hold serve at home.
Yes.
And, they did it against Iowa. That was a tough top 20 matchup. Got the win. Good for them. They play Rutgers tomorrow, who was in the top 25 last week, had a loss, so they're out.
Beatable.
Solid team.
Can lose to them if you're not ready to go.
Absolutely. But I'd like to see us, regardless of how this game goes down, I'm going to feel much better if we're in that upper 70s, lower 80s point range. Jay, I think you agree with me, right?
Yeah, I mean, with how athletic they are, how solid they've been on defense most of the year, if you're putting up 70 plus as Maryland, you're probably not going to lose. I know we just said the same thing about Iowa a minute ago, but that's the way this team is. This team is good defensively.
They are.
And, Turge has shown willingness to press, all that stuff, which he really hasn't in the past. And so the tools are there. I mean,
we got the tools. We got the talent.
Too bad they're not playing at Bakersfield anytime soon.
No, that was Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it was Ghostbusters.
Oh, shit.
We had the tools. We had the talent. Ernie Hudson with his fourth line in the movie.
I apologize.
My favorite Ghostbuster. No, but when this team is willing to score, and like Jay said, they have bought in to the defensive mindset of Turgeon, which none of his previous teams really have at this level. And that's what has given me hope now as we're coming to the home stretch into the postseason for the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament.
This is the best team he's ever had.
Yeah, best team he's ever had, without question.
And it's got veteran leadership at the right places. They just need – I wish they just need to get in a rhythm and find their mojo in terms of everybody can do their job. They know what their role is, and they're comfortable with it.
Yep.
And do what you do good.
And take a guy like Sorrell Smith, who's only going to get about 8 to 12 minutes a game, depending on the game, but tell him, hey, when we're dry from the outside, I need your shooting touch.
Right.
You're going to get 3 or 4 chances to pop one from 3. I need you to make 2 out of 4.
Like, this is your role.
That's correct.
Don't do anything other than your role.
D up that speedy guard on the other end, fight through the pick and rolls, and when we get an opportunity on offense, they're probably come playoffs or postseason time, Cowan's going to get a double team. Wiggins is going to have a shadow on him. Hey, Smith, if you can leak out into the corner, fucking make 2 out of 4. Let's go.
Bill Belichick has the right. Do your job. Just do your job, right?
Exactly.
Don't try to put on a show for agents in the next because you think you're going to the league next year.
Right.
Right. So if you're an interior player, now you got to show your range. Mm-hmm. Right. Don't do that shit. Do your fucking job.
Yep.
Rebound. If that's what you do, that's your job. Do it.
That's right.
And I hope Maryland can do it because I think talent-wise,
Well, I got to give them credit because the last 2 weeks they've given fans, both skeptics and optimists alike, a lot of pause.
They're going to Lansing, right? They're going to Michigan State in the next couple of weeks.
Yes,
and so that's going to be a good one. But the next, they got Rutgers, and then I think they got Illinois. They're at Illinois.
They're at Illinois. They're at Michigan State. They still get Michigan on the road. They still get Ohio State on the road. They got some tough games coming up.
Illinois is a good team.
They're a very good team.
So that's going to be the game where you're like, show me that one
on the road.
The road.
Jerry's going to hate this because he'll say it's loser talk. But what I want to see is none of that Iowa shit from that road game. None of this multiple 5-minute stretches without a basket where we have to basically have a Herculean effort just to make a game of it in the last 5 minutes. Just be in the game. Don't have a first half like you against LSU in the tournament last year. You just can't do that stuff.
I'm 100%
5-minute
with you.
Stretch is fine.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't expect you to win by 20 on the road,
Right.
But so I expect you to be in the game and win.
And take the Indiana game, for example.
Yeah.
Yes, we had some bad stretches in that game, but we had enough good stretches that a good run at the end is the difference between winning and losing.
7 instead of 15.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But I thought you were going to say, I just want them to be in it, and I want them to have fun, and I want them to I want them to get along, and everybody
Wants to hand out the ribbons at the end of the season.
like I want to have a certificate.
No, we
I
are
want
not
you to
about
win.
participation at Wings,
No,
Beers, and Tears.
It's all about winning.
Just win, baby.
When Peyton gets her participation trophy, I throw that shit in the friggin' on the way out the door. So thanks, man. Boom.
Give it to Major to gnaw on it. So, hey, go Terps. Go Caps.
Go Terps.
Going to have some interesting combine talk.
I hope Blaine Forsythe doesn't get fired this week. I kind of do. I think I was kind of advocating for that.
Do you think we have some influence over the
Who's the
Caps
coach at
coaching?
Hershey? Who's the coach at Hershey?
Troy Mann? Is that who it is?
Troy fucking Mann, come up and do
Quick
do the power
correction.
play.
Quick correction from last week. Eddie Jordan is not the current coach at Rutgers.
Oh.
He was the current coach.
That would be kind of cool if he was.
He was the previous coach.
He was the current coach.
He just isn't
Dumbass.
Okay.
Currently, he is not currently the coach.
Troy Mann is that his name? Come
Yeah.
up and do the fucking power plays. I'm assuming they run power plays in Hershey. Come up and do that shit.
No, they decline penalties down there.
They probably do. I think that's where the Caps are, though.
You know what Jerry's going to do?
We're not going to
So Hershey's on a heater. If the Caps bow out early, Jerry's going to head on up to Hershey for a playoff game.
You know what Jerry's going to Hershey for? Disturbed and Stained. August 1.
Damn right.
Stained is back on tour.
Bad Wolves too, right?
And Bad Wolves.
That's a good show.
That is a good show. Disturbed is the shit.
Yes.
The shit live.
I'm not going for that one. I'm going for
You should
Stained.
be.
Because
Yeah,
you
you
know
should
why?
use the shit.
Because Aaron Lewis is the best singer ever. So much better than the guy from Disturbed, who probably takes his own plane with opera singers.
And if our producer has any skills, we will be outroed via Aaron Lewis on this episode. We'll see what she does as she chops up the audio here. So until next week, from Wings, Beers, and Tears, we will see you on the flip side.
Sorry, Mitch.
Peace.